I am happy that you mentioned this word intersectionality. That echoes a lot of our current vision of the Presbyterian Mission Agency of Matthew 25. I think that our three pillars of dismantling racism, eradicating poverty, and congregational vitality are also intersectional in entangled ministry areas. But also these economic, ecological, and ecumenical concerns, all of which are stemming from the oikos, etymologically and biblically, they're also entangled. So how is this concern for poverty and also the concern for the earth can be related, and then maybe enhancing the ministry areas of dismantling racism, and then also the congregational vitality? Can you share some 2 cents?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you're saying, they're so connected. Those root words help us to understand, where systems intersect and connect, and give us a little bit of a hint as to where we should go. And I think one thing we're learning in systemic hunger and root causes of hunger is that racism and white supremacy are huge factors. Who has access to land, who has access to fresh food, who has access to affordable, healthy food, or even culturally relevant food. So in the hunger program, we work and learn from communities of color, whether that's Black or Indigenous or other people of color communities that are working to reclaim their own farming, agricultural, food systems to care for themselves and their communities in the way they should be allowed. So, Matthew 25, as it connects to any of our One Great Hour sharing ministries, including the hunger program, we definitely could be understood to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the imprisoned, give water to the thirsty. But we also know that those aren't instructions just as individual acts of good-hearted charity. It's calling us to confront systems that keep people hungry, poor, imprisoned. So it's not just working to solve one individual's hunger today by my donation. It's working to undo problems for the future, kind of these systems, as you talked about, economic, ecological, ecumenical partnerships to really create abundance in the future. So we really work together for the world's well-being and long-term justice, not just those individual acts of compassion. And I think what's important in that Matthew 25 story is that it's not just, giving food to the hungry, it's seeing Christ in the hungry, thirsty, naked, and imprisoned, that God is there. So it is a privilege, a humbling privilege for me to interact with that person because that person is Christ. And so I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to be blessed by. That we don't believe in a model where we're, the privileged Presbyterians who are do-gooders, helpers, benefactors. We believe we're called to a model where we encounter God through the privilege of working alongside communities, that they themselves are working for justice and somehow amazingly invite us to walk alongside them, learn with them. We do share financial resources through One Great Hour of Sharing with communities who are vulnerable, but we do it, again, not because we're some big, amazing, donor, but because it's important repair work. It's repairing the fabric of creation that we've torn because God calls us to. And in a way, we believe that we can use money for the healing of some of those broken relationships. As there's an author of Decolonizing Wealth, Vilanueva, writes about this, and our advisory committee read it, our staff read it. We've talked a lot about that some of us have resources, or we've inherited financial resources because of generational inequality and privilege. And others have no resources because of systems of injustice. Whether it's class or race or gender or generational trauma. So the unevenness is not an unevenness of value, it's an unevenness of access. God didn't make some people in God's image. God made all of us in God's image. God did not make some people more deserving of money and food and work and love. God made all of us deserving. So, we're called to give space for all people to have access to all of those things. The least of these really can be thought about as people who especially deserve and need reparation, love, justice. It's folks who are the least wealthy, the least privileged, the least benefited by current society's twisted assumptions. So as caregivers, lovers of God's creation, we see ourselves in a role where God's imbued all people, all creation with sacred value, and that we're blessed. We get to serve God by acts of care and worship, confession, reparation, and witness. So that's what we try to do in the Hunger Program, is put ourselves in that understanding of who we are in a rightful place in community. And I think that's what we try to do in the Hunger Program, to share resources with communities, but absolutely know that we're learning from them, benefiting from wisdom. All kinds of value comes in those relationships. It's not a one-way street.
I want to go back to the place where you mentioned that you see Christ in these people you're supporting and trying to help. In these communities, you are seeing God in the Christ, image of the Christ. So this is a justice-oriented ministry, but we are not doing this because of our righteousness.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we love them, and we love them like we loved the Christ.
Yes.
And it also echoes the Dr. Comel West's famous quotations that justice is what love looks like in public.
I did want to go back to the Comel West quote that you said. I just love that so much. Mm-hmm. And I think justice is what love looks like in public. And to me, it's like God's love in becoming incarnate in Jesus Christ. And Jesus's ministry was justice in the public square. So, that's God's love translated through human justice. And, being human isn't easy. It isn't easy for anyone. Even people with privilege have a lot of hardship and grief. We all deal with struggle and sin. That's also part of our understanding. But God puts on love, becomes incarnate, teaches about justice, lives this incredible human life through Jesus Christ, and then sends the Spirit to be both our challenger and our comforter and help us do that now in this day and age. So, we just pray that is God so loved this world that God sent Christ and put on this cloak of justice in the world, that we follow that in all that we do as Presbyterians, as Christians, as people in this world, that we stand for racial and gender justice and affordable housing and community organizing, things that can truly heal and love the world the way we're given that vocation in Genesis.
I think it also echoes a lot of, public, the term public might sound a little cold to many of us sometimes, but it means, I think, in my opinion, it basically means sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing the space, time, and resources we have. And this last year, and then maybe this year too, with this pandemic and racism and increasing poverty in this country, may let us learn and realize about how important to share.
Yes, absolutely. That's fundamental.
This was such an amazing time with you, and then we hope that this conversation, Everyday God Talk, will be helpful for people to understand your ministry and also the one grade of our sharings and the benefit coming from that. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.